Live from the I-10 corridor, it's the Dave Nemo Show.
Well, you've been hearing the messages from Diamond Transportation System on the program for some time now. I know we have a number of owner-operators with Diamond that are with us all the time here on Road Dog, so good morning to you. But we're going to kind of do it officially in just a moment and throw the red carpet out and cut the ribbon and break that bottle of champagne over the prow of that ship as it sails the concrete seas. And boy, some of these trucks are as big as ships with some of the stuff that the guys at Diamond Hall. Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment with the president of Diamond Transportation System, John Coca. John's going to be talking with us here in just a little bit, so stand by. Well, I'll tell you what, if we were doing an in-person event right now, the welcome mat would be out. We'd have those little sandwiches that are cut up in triangles and things like that to have the welcoming party for John Coca and everybody at Diamond Transportation System. John, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
I love those little, you like those little sandwiches, you know, those little, what do they call, I forget what they call them, but every once in a while around here, you know, the grocery stores, whatever kind of, any kind of a big weekend, they'll have them out every once in a while. And for some reason, I'll just buy one and go home. I love those little things. Well, anyhow, it's great to have you guys with us, and we'll talk a little bit about more of what you guys do, how you do it, why you do it. You know, I was thinking about the fact that, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago, I was talking to a guy, and, you know, there are companies, fleets that have been all owner-operator through the history of trucking, of course. And he says, it's not herding cats. He says, it's like herding wild cats. And we were joking about that. But then he said, you know, what I mean by that really is, he says, that's a joke. That's an old joke. But he said, the reason I say that is because everybody is a little different. Now, this is back in the day when wildcatters were a thing in trucking, or at least, you know, that was one of the titles. This is going back to the late 60s, early 70s. So, everybody's independent, and that was the idea, you know. What's more independent than a wildcat? So that's what kind of the guys who were running the trucks through the middle of the night with us here on the old Road Gang show, you know, pumping out that country music and everything every night. They were the independent mind of the professional driver has always been there. And, John, I've said this way too many times in the past, but the first bit of conventional wisdom I learned in trucking back in 1971 was the owner-operator is a thing of the past. And so what an introduction that is for you with an all-owner-operator company like 50 years later, right?
Right, yeah, and we wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, that's the only business model I've known since I've been here. You know, and those guys, they work hard. You know, you call them wildcats. I think a lot of people still refer to them as the last cowboys out there.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Sometimes in a negative way, but I think most often I think that's a real positive thing. Those guys are out there, they're working hard, they're rolling down the road on their own, you know, living out their dreams.
Well, you know, yeah, and it's funny you should say that sometimes in a negative way. That was the movies and things like that that kind of brought some of that to bear. But in real life, man, I mean, these were solid business people with a small, we used to call them kitchen table businesses, you know, where the wife would be at home running the operation. They're literally on the kitchen table. That's where our business office was in my home when I was a kid. That's for sure.
Yep, absolutely, and I think a lot of them are still run that way. I mean, a lot of the guys are dealing with their wives to help them make the right decisions and lead them down the road, and you know, keeping their books in order and getting all that stuff done in the back office, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know, but you know, it's a natural progression for those guys. I mean, they start out, many of them, you know, on a farm, you know, driving a truck. You get into the business as a driver, and then the natural progression is to want to, you know, own your own business, get your own truck, get in there and make some good money, you know.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if trucking is still the number one place where you can enter into an entrepreneurship world, I guess you might say, but the entrepreneurial spirit is still very much alive in trucking, as you well know, of course. Maybe computer startups are rivaling trucking in terms of just starting things up on your own. But, yeah, we still have that spirit, and I hope it, like you, never goes away. There's another spirit, though, and another factor that basically is, if not the cornerstone, certainly one of the pillars of the foundation of Diamond Transportation System, John, and that is the fact that you're a fourth-generation family business. And when folks hear the message that they hear on our program, that idea of family is much more than just an idea with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And that's, I didn't grow up in the company. My hand wasn't forced into trucking. I was around it, of course. But, my great-grandfather, who passed before I was born, bought a small company back in 1943, I believe, ran it for a few years, and then incorporated as Diamond Transportation System in 1949. He ran that company, brought a couple of his sons into the business, one happening to be my grandfather, one my great-uncle. Anyone who knows Diamond from the past would recognize the names Harvey and Buck. So officially, I'm the fourth generation of the business, but my mother and my uncle, my grandfather's children, weren't actually involved in the business. So it kind of skipped a generation, but yeah, we've had this in the family for quite some time, and I don't plan on letting it go anywhere. So, it's kind of a nice thing to know. It's good to have a small company where when our owner operators do come in here, they get to meet everybody. They know everybody's name. They understand that they're going to have one fleet manager to deal with, 24 hours a day on call. We have a true open door policy. These guys come into the office. They can sit down with anybody and just, have a conversation. Tell us what's going good, tell us what's going bad, let them know what they need, and they walk out and they know they've been heard. It's one of the sad things about COVID is we've had to kind of reel that back a little bit because these guys are out there on the road all the time, and we have to have our protocols in the office. So we've been doing a little bit more, I guess, Zoom recruiting and orientating.
Haven't we all? Now that we finally learned how to use it, right?
Right, and hopefully it's going away very quickly, but time will tell. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I miss is whenever we'd have a new lease operator, owner operator, independent contractor come into the office and sign his contract, he'd come into my office and sit down, and we'd talk for as long as he wanted, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour and a half, and I'd give him that time, and we'd learn a little bit about each other, and that's just the way it is here. We like to know a little bit about everybody that we're working with.
Well, and that's a great you don't know, but you segued into the next part of the conversation here, John, working with. Because you are really kind of a B2B, business to business on an individual basis with every one of the owner-operators on with Diamond.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, we don't have 800 trucks or 2,000. We like to hover just around or below that 100 truck mark. So, when we talked our prep yesterday, you mentioned one guy, and you don't know his name, but you mentioned his CB handle, and right away, I knew who it was. We know these guys. We know what they do. We know how they like to operate. Going back to your intro with the herding cats thing, is in each one of these guys in their business, they have their own preferences. They like to go in certain areas. They like to haul certain freight. They like to run certain lanes. There's other guys that'll do anything, and there's other guys that like to restrict themselves. But, our fleet managers, they need to know the personalities. They need to know the home time requirements. They need to know, everything about these guys as they're out there making their decisions, because we ultimately are trying to help them make the right decisions to be profitable.
One of the old timers said, when you're running with independent operators, he says one of the things you have to remember is that it is, even though the individual players are individual players, they're still on the same team, and they have to everything has to coordinate together as a team. But on the same token, you don't take the pitcher and put him on third base. You don't take the shortstop and put him in the catcher's spot. You put them where they belong so that they can perform the function that they perform the best and in the most comfortable way they can. And I'm kind of adding a little bit to what he said here. He said a little bit more colorfully than I did. But you get what I'm saying, and that's pretty much exactly what you are saying. Don't send a guy to Topeka if he just doesn't like to go there for one reason or another. Send him to New Jersey where he loves it, or is doing business there, or has family, or some reason. There's always reasons behind people's decisions, aren't there? And they're always pretty good reasons when you find out what they are, and then you learn how to work with them.
Absolutely, and it's important if you want to keep these guys running and happy and loyal to your company. You got to be able to adapt to what each individual likes to do, and obviously with a non-force dispatch, operation, that's something that we have to do. It's they're not company trucks where we just say, here's your load, go get it. We'll get you home when we get you home. We have to really listen to what these guys want and desire, and try to work with them to keep them in their desired lanes.
One of the things that folks, I think, will realize when they go to the website diamondrecruit.com is the fact that everything is pretty much laid out right there. There's a big check. The first thing you'll see is a big old checklist.
Absolutely. We have a number of different ad campaigns. Obviously, our website diamondtrans.net is the main one, but we're trying something new here with you guys, and we have the typical sign on compensation. We've got a great safety program, which guys can really, if they're safe, and they must be safe to work for us, get good quarterly bonuses, and we have good referral programs, $4,000 to an owner-operator who brings on another one. But, yeah, all that information is there on the website. We really take a lot of pride in our safety record. This year we were supposed to receive an award at the TCA annual banquet in Las Vegas this April, but they had to move that back to September. We were going to place first place in Division I of their safety awards. We worked really hard for our owner-operators in the past. Actually, the reigning driver of the year for the TCA is Kevin Kutzmick. We worked for years trying to get his application in there, and he finally won that award last year. It's a lot of fun to see the success for some of our owner-operators to have, and it's great when we are recognized for our safety as well. And kind of going back to the independent contractor model, one thing that I've always said is, why are you independent contractor versus drivers? These guys, they're running down the road in their offices. They have skin in the game. I feel 100% that they are the safest drivers out there on the road. And that really helps us maintain our great safety record.
Indeed, indeed. I'll tell you what, I hope folks will, what kind of, we really didn't talk too much. I said something about sailing the concrete seas on these ships, and some of these tractor trailers are as big as ships, because you guys are hauling some big, heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's one misnomer about us. We do heavy haul, but we are not a heavy haul company with multi 9, 10, 11 axles. We are
right.
pretty specialized with RGN, large, wide, high, some pretty good customer base. We haul a lot of green equipment and red equipment. I don't know if I can use their names on the air because of confidentiality stuff, but
you don't have to.
Yellow
actually,
equipment,
yeah.
some yellow equipment, and that's another thing about what we do is I think people are proud. Our owner operators are proud to be hauling that stuff behind them. It's not I don't want to say just a van where it's a box behind the truck. People see rolling down the road what they're hauling, and our guys puff up their chest a little bit, and they're proud of it, and it's neat stuff. It's a lot of work when you're chaining down and making sure that stuff's secure and safe, but it's lucrative. You make good money, and ultimately that's what those guys want to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, John, once again, camp. Man, we were so counting on seeing everybody in Las Vegas in April. In fact, we actually announced it earlier this year that we were going to be out there, and they've moved that to September, which is cool. We all fully understand that, but we'll see you in September, if not before.
Absolutely.
John, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. Thanks for supporting what we're doing here at Radio Nemo, and want to thank all of the drivers, the owner-operators out there with you guys for being part of that support here. And you know what? We're all in this together, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on and just a little bit of time to tell you all what we're about, and hopefully we draw up some interest here because we got the freight for you guys to move. We'd like to lease on some extra trucks.
How is, of course, freight is up and down, and COVID has, thrown a monkey wrench in every engine compartment everywhere. So, in terms of what you guys are hauling now, the machinery, things like that, in fact, you guys are prominent members of the Machinery Haulers Association. We'll be heading to actually, when I said we'll see you, if not before, I meant in San Antonio, Texas. We're going to be there for the
TMHA, Machinery Haulers Association.
You want to say the here. Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about the freight volumes as they stand now, kind of where we just came from, where we are now, and what you're seeing, say, in the very near future, because we can't stretch that timeline out too far at this point anywhere. Yeah.
Well, we all know in trucking that the future is very erratic, but obviously, I think like a lot of freight of ours, it slowed down in 2020. Production levels went down, certainly with a lot of factories having COVID restrictions with people, in buildings and cutting second shifts and third shifts and things like that. But probably for the last 2 months, 2.5, things have really started to pick up in this industry again, and I know we're getting a lot of calls from our customers asking us for capacity, asking us for help, even some, looking to give increases. And when you're an owner-operator company and you're paying percentages, any increase you get with a customer, you're passing that increase along to the owner-operator. So it's looking good. We hope that things continue down this direction, but like I said, we've got more freight right now than we can handle, and I think there's a lot of companies in our boat that have similar situations, and that's a very good thing for the trucking companies.
You guys, of course, are up in Racine, Wisconsin. Well, what does that mean to someone here in Louisiana, or Utah, North Carolina? Is there any regionality to what you guys do?
It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. We've got drivers that live all over the country. We're focused east of the Rockies, but we do 48 states and Canada. We've got our
east of the Rockies
here.
Doesn't really bother a lot of people when you think about it. So,
right. Yeah, that's where the bulk of this type of freight runs anyhow. But we'll go anywhere in the 48 in Canada. We'll lease on from just about anywhere. We do have our corporate office here with a terminal here. We also have locations in Fargo and in Moline, Illinois, to serve some of our other larger customers. In fact, we're actually looking for a local driver in Moline right now. We've got an empty truck out there, which they run very local, very regional, shuttle from the plants back to the yard, things like that.
Okay.
But,
well,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a perfect time for me to give out that number. Then we may find that Moline person right now. The number at Diamond Transportation Systems, 800. Which every time I hear an 800 number, John, I'm thinking, man, that's like Nastic, 800. They've been around for a while with an 800 number, right? 800-927-5702. 800-927-5702. And the website again is diamondrecruit.com. John, we're out of time here, but we're going to hopefully talk to you again sooner rather than later. And once again, thank you for being with us, and welcome officially on board here.
Thank you, and we'll see you in San Antonio.
See you in San Antonio. See you at the Alamo.
All right.
John Coca, everybody. Thank you so much. John Coca, everybody, president of Diamond Transportation Systems. That phone number again, and we are welcoming them as a brand new sponsor here on the Dave Nemo Show, Radio Nemo, the Tim Ridley Show, weekends with Jimmy Mack, Claire Marie. 800-927-5702. 202.